Have you ever put an event on the calendar 6 or more months ahead of time and thought to yourself, I've got plenty of time to get my act together before then, only to completely forget about it until a few days beforehand? Yep, this is a story of my grand plans to participate in the local swap meet, only to forget about it until it was too late to pull my head out of my butt. I was gonna say but. What did you think I was gonna say? Hello slot heads, young and old, near and far, experienced and beginner. My weekend was filled with slot cars. On Saturday, we had our second official episode of Saturday Morning Cartoons. And on Sunday, I attended a local Hot Wheels and slot car swap meet. Now I've been to this meet before, but this time was different. This time, I was a man on a mission, and I had 3 things I was specifically looking for. 1, cars from brands I cannot get at the local shops. 2, cars that are not currently produced and therefore a little more difficult to find. And 3, any unique scenery or buildings that I just hadn't seen before. Well, I found a little bit of everything. I picked up a bag of tires, and yes, that's the official name. It really is just a bag full of old stock slot car tires, but when I saw it at a ridiculously cheap price, I immediately thought about how Hugh's garage and how he used a huge bag of tires for all kinds of different things on this track, and so I needed to get it. The next 2 things I grabbed were from the same booth, and quite frankly, they're really just to lube up the flow of cash from my stingy wallet. Now, I grabbed this sweet bumper sticker. Unfortunately, my wife has already used her veto power to prevent it from being placed on my truck. And I also got this goofy mini blow-up Goodyear blimp. Now I think this one might be more appropriately sized for my dad's HO track, so it'll probably make the trip to his house in a few weeks when I head up that way. The last 2 items I grabbed were a couple of slot cars. The first one is a Fun Cup Beetle from Revel Monogram. Now VW Beetles hold a special place in my heart. My mother drove a 1971 Super Beetle for many years. I remember her picking me up from school in that little beast and knowing that she was coming because I could hear that signature VW chirp from a mile away. Now after I graduated high school, my mom and I drove that dang thing halfway across the country to their new home in the East Coast. Eventually, I bought it from my mom and drove it for several years. As any classic VW owner can attest to, I had to tinker on that car all the time, but that was part of her charm. Eventually, I sold her, and I still regret that decision over 10 years later. So yeah, I've been on the lookout for a good-looking VW Beetle slot car since I got into the hobby. Now this may be my first Beetle, but it's most certainly not my last. The last goodie I grabbed at the meet was a Lola LMP from Slotted. Now I've always been fascinated by LMP style cars. The sleek lines of the bodies match with enough durability to be driven for 24 hours straight at breakneck speeds is a combination that is hard to argue with. Now I saw a few LMP cars at the meet, but the Union Jack and the stunning emerald green on this really sold me. Now, I know you're all asking yourselves the same question. But Pete, why the heck did you buy analog cars? All you ever talk about is how you will never want to switch your track to analog. Well, slot heads, I'm switching my track to analog. Nah, I'm just messing with you. I want to put digital chips in the cars so they can run on my digital track. I ordered the chips from LEB Hobbies and they arrived earlier this week. Next up in the video queue is recording the trials and tribulations associated with this process. So wish me luck and stay tuned. I am super grateful for the treasures I found at the event, but the highlight of the morning was when I met a nice couple that was just starting to dip their toes in the slot car hobby. Of course, I jumped on the opportunity to say hello and tell them way more than they wanted to hear about the different cars, tracks, accessories, and of course, this great YouTube community. Thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with me, Amanda and Quinn. I hope you made a decision about your first starter set. But if not, there are plenty of people watching today that would love to share their thoughts and opinions with you. So just ask away in the comments. Now that the buzz and adrenaline from attending such a fun event has started to fade, I am of course looking forward to the next one. and thinking about how I can get involved. Maybe a booth of my own, maybe an informal meet and greet with other YouTubers, maybe just letting some of you guys know I'm gonna be there, hoping you show up. But let me know what you think. And if you have any tips for chipping the newest members of my collection, let me know in the comments down below. Because that's all I have for now. So I'll see you next time.